Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Deep Dive.
Right.
Today we're going to infinity and beyond
Ooh, I like that.
with a deep dive into Toy Story.
Okay.
Back in 1995, this was the film that really took us all on that crazy adventure
Yeah.
through the lives of toys when we weren't looking.
I think it was such a groundbreaking moment
Yeah.
in animation and just pop culture. Like, everybody
For
remembers
sure.
Toy Story.
Who hasn't imagined their toys coming to life when we leave the room?
Right.
I know I did.
Absolutely.
So what really makes Toy Story stand out to
Oh,
me
yeah.
is Andy's world.
You're right. Andy's room is
Yeah.
just like this perfect microcosm of childhood.
It is.
You have all the like archetypal toys.
Yeah.
You know, Woody the sheriff, he's like the loyal.
That's a good guy.
He's a sidekick. He's always by Andy's side.
Always.
And then you have Mr. Potato Head.
Oh, yeah. He's so funny.
He's so snarky. He's got the detachable personality.
Generally.
Literally.
Yeah, and of course you can't forget Slinky Dog.
Oh, yeah.
He's always there to lend a helping spring.
Always ready to help out.
And then there's Rex,
Right.
the anxious dinosaur. Each toy is so unique, and you can really tell there's a hierarchy in this world.
You can.
And Woody is definitely at the top
He is.
as Andy's favorite,
Definitely.
which makes Buzz Lightyear's arrival so disruptive.
Talk about shaking things up.
I know, like here comes Buzz Lightyear with all the bells and whistles.
He's got the wings.
wings, the
Laser.
That spacesuit, I mean,
Yeah.
compared to Woody, who has that simple pull string voice.
He's very low tech.
Yes.
Buzz is very high tech.
He is a technological marvel.
Imagine you're Woody.
I know.
You've been #1 for years.
Years.
You're Andy's go-to pal, and then Buzz shows up.
It's like an existential crisis for a toy.
Talk about an identity crisis, right?
It's like Shakespearean.
It is, totally.
Woody's whole world is turned upside down, and he feels replaced and forgotten.
Absolutely.
And because of that insecurity, he does some questionable things
Some things he might regret.
he might regret.
Like, remember that accidental fall out the window?
Oh, yeah. The accidental fall where he tries to get Buzz out of the way.
Uh-huh.
And of course, the other toys think Woody intentionally pushed him.
Of course they do.
So not only is he facing a rival,
Right.
he's the villain now.
Poor Woody.
Yeah.
So that's what leads them on the journey to Sid Phillips.
Sid Phillips.
Yeah.
The toy torturing
Terror of the neighborhood.
terror.
And his house. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, his house is scary.
It's like a twisted fun house.
It's like walking into a horror movie.
Right?
All those dismembered toys and like creepy creations.
Like Frankenstein-ish toys.
Yeah.
It's like a Tim Burton film, almost.
Do you remember that spider with the baby doll head?
Oh, yeah.
I still get nightmares.
It is creepy.
It is creepy, but I also think it reveals a lot about Sid.
I think it does.
It's not just random destruction.
Right.
He's taking things apart, putting them back together.
He's like a mad scientist.
He's trying to understand how things work.
Totally. I think
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
his way of like making sense of the world.
It's a reminder that even the bad guys in these stories have more depth than we realize.
Absolutely.
But for Woody and Buzz trapped in Sid's house,
I know.
it is pure terror.
Especially for Buzz.
Buzz especially.
Remember that scene when he's watching the TV
Yes.
and he sees the commercial for himself?
Yes.
And he realizes he might just be a toy.
That is sad.
That is heartbreaking.
He goes from believing he's a space ranger
Totally.
to thinking he's just a toy.
Just a toy.
Yeah, I think that's what makes Buzz's character arc so compelling.
I agree.
He starts out with that like inflated sense of self-importance, but through his experiences with Woody and Sid's house,
Right.
he comes to understand the true meaning of being a toy.
It's a journey of self-discovery.
It is.
And it's beautifully interwoven with the themes of friendship and loyalty.
Yeah, and their interactions are so funny.
So fun.
They're comedic gold.
Like, from Buzz's unwavering belief in Star Command
Yes.
to Woody's, like, exasperation of trying to get him to understand reality.
I know, it's so funny, but it's also heartwarming
It is.
to see their relationship evolve from rivals to genuine friends
I agree.
who are willing to risk everything for each other.
That's what true friendship is.
Yeah, and that leads us to the iconic escape from Sid's house.
One of the best scenes in the movie.
Oh man, talk about a nail-biting climax.
You said it.
Woody rallies those mutant toys
I know.
and uses their creepy appearance to terrify Sid into treating his toys with respect.
It's like he uses Sid's fear against him.
It's genius.
It's brilliant.
It's a powerful moment.
It is.
Not just for the toys, but for
Yeah.
anyone who's ever felt underestimated or mistreated.
Absolutely.
It's a testament to Woody's leadership
It really is.
and his ability to overcome his fears
Yeah.
to help his friend.
That's what a true leader does.
When things seem hopeless,
Right.
there's always a way out.
And sometimes the best solution is the most unexpected.
The most unexpected. Yes. So what happens?
So they reunite with Andy
I know.
after that harrowing adventure.
You see the relief in their eyes
Yes.
and the joy.
Pure joy.
It's a testament to the unbreakable bond that they've formed.
That they have formed, and just when you think everything is settled.
Right.
The film ends with that cliffhanger.
A cliffhanger.
Christmas Eve at their new house.
Oh, yeah.
Toys are back in their routine, but a new threat.
A
Puppy?
I know.
What will this puppy mean for Woody and the gang?
Well, we'll have to wait and see.
We will?
But before we dive into that,
Yes.
let's rewind a bit.
Okay.
And talk about how this movie came to be.
Yes.
Let's talk about the technology behind the toys.
This film was a visual revolution.
It was Pixar's first fully computer-animated feature film.
Really?
And it changed everything.
Wow.
Before Toy Story.
Yeah.
Computer animation was mainly used for, like,
Okay.
little things, like special effects,
Yeah.
like short films.
Yeah.
I remember seeing it in the theater and just being like,
How is this possible?
how is this even possible?
Yeah.
The way that toys moved so fluidly,
I know.
their expressions were so nuanced.
It's like they took these toys that we all knew from childhood,
Yes.
and they breathed life into them.
Yeah. And speaking of breathing life, we can't forget the voice acting.
Oh, the voice acting is incredible.
Tom Hanks as Woody
Perfect casting.
and Tim Allen as Buzz Lightyear.
So good.
They're so perfect.
Their voices just capture the essence.
They do.
And the supporting cast is amazing as well.
Oh, yeah.
You've got Don Rickles
Bud Rickles.
as Mr. Potato Head.
I know.
Wallace Shawn as Rex.
The perfect anxious voice.
They add so much depth and personality to their roles.
It really makes the characters come alive.
It does.
And, you know, it's not just the voices, it's the tone.
Yes.
The dialogue is so natural.
It is.
So playful.
Oh, really?
Like you're listening in on a group of friends hanging out.
It really is. And that's what makes Toy Story so universally appealing.
Yes, it's that perfect blend of humor and heart
You got it.
that makes it work for everyone.
It works on so many levels for kids. It's the slapstick, the adventure.
Yes.
For adults, it's like the subtle humor.
The nostalgia.
Yeah, and the themes of friendship.
And growing up,
Yeah,
it really is a film that can be enjoyed by all ages,
absolutely.
which is a testament to the storytelling of John Lasseter.
John Lasseter.
The direct.
He was a visionary.
He really understood how to create a world that felt both familiar and fantastical.
And he wasn't afraid to take risks.
Because this was a huge risk back then,
Huge risk.
to make a film entirely with computer animation.
I mean, nobody was doing that.
But Lasseter had a vision.
And he had the perfect team at Pixar.
Yes.
And they pulled it off
They did.
brilliantly.
It's amazing to think that one film could have such a profound impact.
I know, but it's not just about the technical achievement or
Yeah.
the box office success.
Right. It's about the power of story, the way it connects with us.
Well, on an emotional level.
And it stays with us long after the credits roll.
Absolutely.
That brings us back to those core themes.
Friendship, loyalty,
Facing your fears.
imagination.
It's a reminder that even in a world that can feel increasingly complex
Yes.
and cynical,
Yes.
there's still magic to be found in the simple things.
There is. And sometimes those magical things are right under our noses.
They are.
Just waiting to be discovered.
Beautifully said.
Thank you.
But speaking of things waiting to be discovered, what about that puppy?
That puppy.
What do you think Andy's new furry friend means for Woody and the gang?
Well, that's a question we're going to have to tackle in the next part of our deep dive.
We are so stay tuned, folks, because we're going to be unpacking the legacy of Toy Story
Absolutely.
and exploring how it continues to resonate with audiences even today.
It's a timeless classic. I know that puppy at the end throws everything we know.
It's like, what's going to happen now?
Like, will Woody still be Andy's favorite?
I know you think they've got it all figured out, and bam,
Right.
curveball.
A puppy in the mix.
A puppy.
How will the toys adapt?
Right, like, will Buzz embrace being a chew toy?
Maybe.
We don't know.
We'll have to wait for the sequels.
Yeah, which is what they wanted us to think.
Of course.
But it speaks to the power of Toy Story,
It does.
that we want more.
We care about these characters.
We're invested.
We want to know what happens next.
It's like we're part of their family.
Exactly.
And speaking of family,
Okay.
I think one of the most interesting things about this film is
What's that?
what it says about family.
Okay.
You have the traditional family,
Andy and his mom.
mom and sister,
Yeah.
but then you have the toy family
Right.
with their own rules and hierarchy.
Like their own little society?
Yes, and their own drama,
Oh, yeah.
just like any family.
Like Woody and Buzz at the beginning.
Right.
Total sibling rivalry.
But it shows that even the most dysfunctional families
Mm-hmm.
can come together
Yeah.
when it matters.
When times get tough.
Like when they all came together
I know.
to help Woody and Buzz escape Sid's house.
Putting aside their differences.
They put their differences aside and worked as a team.
Because they knew family is more than just...
Blood or plastic.
Yeah, it's about love and loyalty.
Being there for each other.
That's a powerful message.
That resonates with everybody.
Everyone wants to belong
Yes.
and feel like they're part of something bigger.
Toy Story reminds us that family comes in all shapes and sizes.
It does.
Even if it's a cowboy,
Right,
a space ranger,
right.
and a bunch of misfit toys.
It's very heartwarming.
Speaking of heartwarming,
Okay.
we have to talk about the emotional core of this film.
It really gets you in the feels.
It does.
It's so funny, but also so moving.
It is.
It's hard to find that balance.
They did it masterfully.
They did.
Remember when Buzz is strapped to that rocket?
Oh, God, yeah.
And he's about to be blown up?
It's so sad.
He's like, my dreams are going up in smoke.
Poor Buzz.
But then you have Woody risking it all to save him.
I know, even though they were enemies like a week ago.
It shows how friendship can change you.
Transformative.
Woody goes from jealous
Uh-huh.
to selfless and courageous.
True friendship isn't about competition.
Right.
It's about being there no matter what.
And Buzz,
Yeah.
he finally accepts who he is.
He's a toy.
A toy who makes a child happy.
He learns to embrace it.
It's a message about accepting yourself.
Yes, flaws and all.
Finding happiness in the little things.
It's a beautiful message.
Delivered with sincerity.
Delivered at heart.
Which makes Toy Story more than just a great movie.
It touches your soul.
It really does.
It's that emotional depth combined with the animation and the characters
The characters.
that makes it a timeless classic.
And it spawned a whole franchise.
We got sequels.
Toy Story 2.
Toy Story 3.
Toy Story 4.
We've got them all.
They explore new sides of the characters and relationships.
But they all have that same heart and humor,
They do.
which makes the original so special. It's like they took that original concept and expanded on it.
Each film adds new layers
New characters.
without sacrificing the quality.
Heavier emotion, each film stands on its own.
It really is a remarkable achievement
It is.
in storytelling.
I think it speaks to the universal appeal of these characters.
It does.
You know, we all have a Woody or a Buzz in our lives.
We do.
Those friends that challenge us, support us, make us laugh.
Those are the connections that make life worth living.
That's what Toy Story reminds us.
But let's not get too sappy.
Okay.
We need to talk about the legacy.
The legacy of Toy Story.
This film didn't just entertain.
It revolutionized
It
animation.
was a cultural phenomenon.
It changed how we see animation.
Before Toy Story,
Yeah,
computer animation was just a novelty.
right, just for like special effects.
Or little short films.
But Pixar came along and said,
We can make a feature-length film.
with heart and humor,
And they did it with style.
to infinity and beyond.
To infinity and beyond.
That's become like a cultural catchphrase
It had.
for dreaming big.
Toy Story sparked a renaissance.
A renaissance in animation.
It inspired filmmakers.
And it paved the way for all the films we see today.
It wasn't just a film.
Right.
It was a cultural moment.
It became a merchandise empire.
Theme parks,
Video games.
stage productions.
It's a global phenomenon.
It's amazing to think one film
Could have such an impact.
could have such an impact.
But that's the power of a great story.
It captures our imaginations
Touches our hearts
and stays with us.
long after the credits roll.
Toy Story is a shining example of that.
It is a film that continues to delight and inspire.
I think we've covered a lot today.
We have From Andy's Room,
To Sid's house,
the animation,
the emotion,
the impact.
we've talked about it all.
We've gone deep.
As we wrap up this part,
Okay.
what stands out to you?
That's a good question.
What's the most important takeaway?
I think it's that reminder
Okay.
that even familiar stories can have hidden depths.
We think we know Toy Story,
Right. We've seen it a million times.
but there's always something new
To discover
to angle,
a new perspective.
like revisiting an old friend.
And realizing how much you've both changed. Toy Story grows with you.
offers new insights each time.
That's what makes it so special.
The film that grows with us.
Well said.
Well, I think that's a good place to pause for now.
Okay.
Join us next time as we continue our deep dive into Toy Story
We'll talk about the impact on animation and pop culture.
and our hearts.
It's a film that's touched us all.
And we're back for the final part
Back again?
of our deep dive into Toy Story.
I can't believe how much we've covered.
We have covered so much.
But there's still so much to talk about.
There is, but the thing that really stands out to me is
Yeah.
how Toy Story captured that universal experience
Right.
of having a favorite toy.
Everybody.
That one toy that was more than just an object.
Absolutely.
It was like a friend,
A confidant.
an extension of your imagination.
Like it gave a voice to that silent bond
It did.
that we all had.
We all had with our toy.
There weren't just inanimate objects.
Right. They had feelings,
Yeah.
dreams, fear.
But it made us look at them differently.
It did.
It made you think like, what are my toys doing
I know.
when I'm not in the room?
Are they having their own adventures?
Exactly.
That's what makes it magical.
And nostalgic
Yeah.
for a simpler time.
When we were kids,
And your biggest worry
was losing a toy.
is losing your toy.
Or breaking it.
Yeah, it reminds us of the power of play.
Imagination.
Being a kid.
And I think that's why it appeals to adults, too.
Yes.
Not just kids.
Adults can watch it and be like,
I remember those days.
I remember those
It
days
was a simpler time.
when I was carefree.
Exactly.
So it works on all these different levels.
It does.
You can watch it as a kid.
You love the characters and the adventures.
And then as an adult.
You see those deeper themes.
Friendship, loyalty.
Growing up,
Growing. It's like you can watch it again and again.
it's like rereading a favorite book.
Biz.
And you always find something new.
Some little detail you didn't notice before.
Or a line of dialogue that hits different.
Yeah, I think Toy Story's become like a modern fable.
It has.
It's passed down from generation to generation.
Like a classic fairy tale.
teaching us about friendship.
Courage, believing in yourself.
It's part of our culture now.
like a shared experience.
Like a warm hug.
reminding us of the good things in life.
And it all started with that simple question.
What if toys came to life?
That's all it took.
To spark a revolution in animation.
That's all it took.
To inspire so many people.
But it proved.
It proved
Wasn't just a gimmick.
it could tell stories.
Just as good as live action.
And it set a new standard.
It did for animation.
So the technology.
The emotion. And you can still see its influence today.
In all the amazing animated films,
That are still being made.
it was a turning point.
A watershed moment. Yeah.
It showed the world.
That animation wasn't just for kids.
But for everyone.
It could tell any kind of story.
With so much heart and humor.
And technical brilliance.
It really is magical.
It's a film that deserves to be celebrated.
For its legacy is a timeless story.
Absolutely.
So as we wrap up our deep dive,
What are your final thoughts?
what are your final thoughts?
Well, I think we need to remember
Okay.
that the magic of Toy Story lives on.
It does.
It's a film to watch and rewatch,
And share with the next generation.
to never forget the power of imagination,
To cherish friendship.
and to hold on to that child within.
Beautifully said.
Thank you.
And on that note,
Yes,
we'll wrap up this episode of The Deep Dive.
but don't forget,
If you enjoyed this deep dive into Toy Story,
be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
for more great movie reviews
We'll see you next time.
on The Deep Dive